You can gather your party's attention with Sync View and share a player view on an external screen with Cast. Here's how. We'll show you how to sync your players' viewports and cast a viewport externally. Before you start, you'll need to open a room in your Owlbear Rodeo account, and if you want to use the cast feature, you need to use the Chrome browser on desktop or Chromebook, and you'll also need an external screen that's detected by your computer as a destination for video. Firstly, let's look at how to sync your players' viewports to the same place in your scene when you want to focus their attention on something significant. In the lower right corner of your Owlbear Rodeo screen, you'll see a button that shows your current grid interval. Here it's shown as 5 feet. And when you click on it, you reveal the grid controls and viewport controls. At the foot of that popover, you can see a button labelled Sync View and a viewfinder icon right next to it. Let's look at these with some player screens. Clicking on the Sync View button will make a one-time change to all your players' screens, causing them to pan and zoom to match your current viewport, which allows you to ensure that they are all looking at the same part of the scene as you are. For example, if one of your players triggers a significant event, you can frame the scene in your own viewport to encompass the consequences. Then use this Sync View feature to bring all your players to that same area, ready for you to spring the big surprise. If you want your players' views to sync with what you're looking at whenever you do something in the scene, you can also latch the Sync View feature by enabling the adjacent viewfinder button. Then, although players can pan and zoom their own viewports while your viewport is static, each time you interact with any asset in your scene, all players' viewports are synchronized to yours. Note that when Sync View is latched on like this, the current grid interval is replaced by the latched viewfinder icon, to remind you that you are overriding your player's viewport controls every time you interact with your scene. So, don't forget to cancel that latched function as soon as it's convenient. Finally, let's look at how to cast a player viewport externally so that you can have a shared screen for an in-person game through a monitor, TV, or even a projector. In the lower left corner of your Owlbear Rodeo room, you have a button with 3 dots on it. This opens up the Extras menu, and in that popover you can choose the cast option whenever your device has detected a valid external screen, regardless of how it's connected. When you click on Cast, a dialog appears in the middle of your screen where you can choose to hide interface, meaning all of the toolbars and buttons that a player normally sees. This may be useful if you don't intend that external screen to be interactive and would prefer to have a clean view of the scene instead. Let's hide the interface and start the cast, and you'll see an operating system popover appear, asking which of your external screens you want to use. Note that this includes all valid destinations regardless of whether they are wired or wireless. Pick one of them, and on that external screen you'll see a full screen viewport appear with a message that you'll join the room when the owner accepts your request. Simultaneously on your GM screen you'll see the usual request to join the room from a player named Cast Receiver. When you accept this request, then the full scene loads on the external screen. The cast viewport is clean and clear and will also follow the Sync View feature. If you don't hide interface before starting the cast, then you'll also have the usual player toolbar on the right of the external screen, and any shared extensions in this room will be accessible in the top left, as usual. However, a Chromecast receiver does not allow you to move your cursor onto that screen. It is display only. So, you can use Sync View to draw your players' attention to the same spot in your scene during a remote game, and use Cast to share a player view with the rest of your table at an in-person game. To learn more about Owlbear Rodeo, subscribe on YouTube or click another video to keep watching.